There are a lot of people who are too chicken to say this. A lot of people are scared to say this. And, some people have come out and say this, especially my generation and younger. But the boomers were the worst generation to ever inhabit the United States of America. The boomers were the worst generation, the worst thing that ever happened to America. Yep, I'm calling it how I see it. The boomers destroyed America. Right? The boomers destroyed America. They're the most selfish generation known to man. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, Gen Z don't want to have kids. Y'all are selfish. Y'all want to do this and do that. Y'all don't want to raise families. We can't afford to raise families. Right? Much of Gen Z can't afford to raise families. The millennials who do have families, they struggled the entire time. They're in debt, student loan debt still 20 years later. They're upside down on their mortgage, upside down on a car loan. What are you talking about? The boomers still, I think they own around 60 to 70% of the assets. So they own 60 to 70% of the real estate, 60 to 70% of the stock market, right? They're the richest generation to ever live. But they want to continue to talk about, y'all are lazy. Y'all are lazy. Back when I was your age, we had our children early and we survived. We survived with one cow. We survived with one cow, one chicken, and a bottle of water. Like, bitch, this ain't 1940. This ain't 1950s. Right? Shit has gotten real around here. And they don't want to acknowledge the real facts. They don't want to acknowledge that they had it better. Right? They don't want to acknowledge that they stayed in a specific time period, right? Post-World War, right? When the global economy was completely eradicated, destroyed, decimated, right? By the war that took place all over the world. And the United States were just in prime position at that time to be able to become the world dominating player, that we see today. They don't want to acknowledge that. They want to make it seem like it was just something magical that they did. Oh, we worked hard. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Y'all just so happy. Y'all just so happened to win a war that we almost didn't win, right? Because if Japan would, listen, if Japan was a little bit sooner, the war would have been a completely different outcome, just so y'all know. Do your research and do your history research, okay? That is the only reason why boomers were able to benefit from the real estate boom. They were able to benefit from the stock market boom. They were able to buy a gallon of milk for pennies, right? And then they want to continue to run around here telling us, oh, you got to do this and you got to shut up, boomer. Shut up. Right? At first I tried to stay away from the boomer hate train. But as I continue to witness and continue to see the absolute delusion from boomers, I'm like, I can't let this slide any longer. I can't let this slide any longer. Boomers were the worst thing that ever happened to America. Absolutely. Right? Boomers are the only ones, the only generation in mass who were able to benefit and accomplish the American dream. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. They were the only generation to attain the so-called American dream. No other generation in mass have been able to do that at all. Right? They benefited from schooling. They benefited from low cost. They benefited from, post-war advantages. No other generation were able to benefit from that. Right? No other generation. Name one. Name one. I will give you Gen X. I will give you some of Gen X. Gen X, also you can throw in that same boat too. Some of Gen X. Right? They were raised differently. Correct. right? But many of Gen X were able to benefit from some of the trickle-down effects of baby boomers. But even then, even the baby boomers still treated their children, which are Gen Xers, they still treated their children like shit. They don't want to pass them nothing, right? Boomers don't want to teach nothing. They think that you're just supposed to hop out here and just, you're just supposed to download everything, all the data, and you're just supposed to magically know what's going on. Boomers suck, man. Boomers suck. Now, if the shoe fits, listen, obviously, if it don't fit, I'm not talking to you, boomer. If you the boomer that I'm not talking to, then you the boomer that I'm not talking to. But if you the boomer that I'm talking to, you know exactly that I'm talking about you. Right? And let's fast forward even today, right? Who's in control of the politics? Right? I don't care about left or right, same-ish to me. Right? But who is in control of the politics? Right? Who is in control of the daily lives of everybody? Right? It is mostly boomers. The House, the Senate, the presidential office, right? Even some governors, right? When is this going to stop? Right? And it seems like boomers are not going to let go until it's time to let go, right? They're not going to let go of power until they have no choice but to let go of power, which is them 6 feet under, right? And this is ridiculous. Why do we still have people who are no longer, this world is no longer the world that they lived in. The world is no longer the world that they grew up in. We no longer stay in this world. And many boomers are just so out of touch, man. They're so out of touch with reality. They're so out of touch with the cost of living. They're so out of touch with just what the everyday Gen Z, millennial is going through. They're just so out of touch, right? And I'm not talking about, you got your boomers who are being affected too by other boomers. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted, right? Boomers are also affecting other boomers, right? But we have a political class of boomers who are making laws, right, for a world that they're not going to exist in the next 10 years or so. They're making laws for us, right? I'm 30 years old. I'm considered the beginning of Gen Z. I'm considered the end of millennials, the beginning of Gen Z, 1996, right? I am 30 years old, full-fledged adult grown man. We have a political class who are making laws for me, for you, if you're Gen Z, millennial watching this, right? For a world, a mindset that no longer really exists in mass. But they want to continue to tell us, oh, well, this is for your best interest. This is for your best interest. Dude, y'all own most of everything. And then y'all don't even, it's not even a teach one, each one type of situation. They don't want to teach nothing. They keep telling, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know what? I want to see boomers, if you had to start over, you wouldn't survive at all. If boomers had to start over in 2026, if boomers had to start over with the leg down, not the leg up that Gen Z and millennials had, they would not survive. I promise you. Because a lot of them, they like to hide behind, well, I worked hard, and I'm not saying that some of the boomers didn't work hard. That's not what I'm saying. However, they had so many advantages that they're just so blinded by the fact that what they had, right? They're blinded by the delusion, right? They don't think that they had all of these advantages. And I'm here to tell you, you had many advantages. Many advantages. And if you were to start over today, y'all would not survive, right? Even with the internet, right? Because we got the internet now, and a lot of people don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to research. Even with the internet, even with all the knowledge that we have accessible today, boomers will not survive, right? You will be in the same predicament as everybody else trying to figure this shit out. You would be probably living in your car, You would probably not be able to own real estate either, right? You would be misplaced and displaced and laid off too from a job, right? Well, shut up. Back in my day, did you have AI replacing your shit? Right? Do you have politicians who are out of touch with reality? No, you didn't. In fact, the politicians created a reality for y'all's generation, right? They created it for y'all, right? Hyper inflated it as well, to the point where y'all benefited so much from a specific time period that you sucked up all of the resources, you sucked up all the opportunity, right? Because y'all didn't create a better tomorrow. Y'all created a better now for that time period, right? And if you did create a better tomorrow, it was a better tomorrow for yourselves. Because all the way in 2026, who's still benefiting from the quote unquote American dream? Who's still benefiting the most from the American economy? The boomers. Because they're the ones who's still in power. And because they're still in power, guess what the boomers are doing? They're making laws and creating procedures and guidelines for their constituents, which are other boomers. And they're not concerned about Gen Z, clearly. Because if they did, I think things will look a little bit different. I think we will be on a kind of a different trajectory, don't you think? I think that young men would look a little bit different, right? Not all noodle-backed and radicalized and out here strung out and ready to shoot something. Like, the young men will look a lot different if they were doing things in favor of the youth. But they don't give a damn about the youth. They didn't even care. They don't care about the great-great-grandkids. They don't care about the grandkids. They didn't even care about their own kids, Gen X. So they don't care about nothing, man. So I need y'all to wrap y'all minds around this, right? The boomers do not care. They clearly do not care. And they're not handing over power anytime soon. Listen, man, if Elon Musk and all them boys, all those tech oligarchs come up with the longevity serum, oh, it's over with, man. It's over. It is over with. If they come out with a longevity serum before all the boomers, especially the political class, get to go night-night, right? Oh, it's over. They're going to inject that all day long. We're going to have a bunch of vampires in office soon. And I hope I'm not predicting anything, but we're going to have a bunch of vampire boomers right in their in the office for forever. If they come out with the longevity serum, we're going to have boomers in there living to 200, 250 years old, right? Still talking about what law this and who's going to do this. Man, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Clearly the country is not created for everybody, right? It's not created for everybody, or it's not created equally for everybody, right? Which is, I guess, it's fine at this point. It's fine at this point. You just got to get it how you live, right? You got to make a way out of no way, right? And I think if you're a Gen Z, if you're a millennial coming up in this turbulent time period, listen, if you can make it through this time period, you can make it through any time period, right? There's no boomer, no anybody that can tell you anything otherwise, right? Our time is harder. Fuck your times, right? If you can come up in this time period, right, you can salute yourself. You can give yourself a pat on the back. Even with a lot of people say, well, we have an advantage, which everybody had their advantages, right? I believe baby boomers had a political advantage, right? Because the U.S. economy was directly, it was made for them, especially coming out of post-World War, coming out of the World War, right? It was literally created, right? They lived in a bubble. It was created for them to literally thrive, right? In a time period after the World War, right? Especially America being the dominating force and coming out of the war on top of everybody else. So that was their advantage. We also have an advantage. We have AI. We have the internet. We have social media. We have all of these things that information is moving at lightning fast. It's moving lightning fast. We have access to an insurmountable amount of information and knowledge and wisdom. We have our advantages. They had their advantages. So the message of this video is make sure you use your advantage to the fullest extent, right? And if you want even more of an advantage, come over to the Patreon, right? Join the family, join the inner circle, right? You'll be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are headed in the same direction as you are. These are individuals who are making apps. These are individuals who are working out, working on their body, working on their mind. These are individuals who also have wisdom and knowledge themselves in different industries, and they can help you get to where you need to be, including myself. So if you want to take this a step further, come and join the Patreon. The link is in the description, and come and join the inner circle as well, especially if you want to gain the knowledge and wisdom that you need to be able to survive in a new world. You want to be as leveraged as possible. Come and join the family, and I'll see you guys over there. Listen, the after pill is the ideology. The escape blueprint is the framework. And PFP life is how you should live, in purpose, in freedom, and in power. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I built a life. I built a family. I worked my hands raw to get here. And I'm not done. This is the escape blueprint, PFP life, a way out of the grind and into control. You'll learn how I stack cash, build systems, and reclaim time so you can live on your own terms. You will watch me maneuver and grind towards the life that I achieve for myself, and you can also do the same. Join the circle, join the Patreon, learn the steps, and protect your freedom. The escape blueprint, PFP life.